Page load refers to the time it takes for a web page to fully display its content in a user's browser after it's been requested. Page load testing and monitoring helps identify performance bottlenecks, whether they come from server response times, network issues, or inefficient page design. This type of test confirms that a website is reachable and loading correctly. It also monitors all the components that make up the web page, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, and shows exactly where these components are being loaded from. To set up a page load test, go to Network and App Synthetics, then Test Settings. Click the Add New Test button and select Page Load. This will redirect you to the configuration page where you can fill in the target URL. If you have a port and a path, you can specify them there. Configure how often you want the test to run. Keep in mind that the more frequently the test runs, the more ThousandEyes units it will consume. In the test execution schedule, you can choose how the test is run across multiple agents. With default, every selected agent runs the test at the same time, on every interval. With round robin, the test cycles through the selected agents, running on a subset of them at each interval. This reduces traffic while still giving you visibility across all agents over time. With randomized start time, all agents run tests, but their start times are staggered randomly within the interval. This prevents network traffic bursts, simulates real-world conditions, and avoids contention with external services. Select the agents that will act as the source of your test. This can be either cloud agents or enterprise agents, or a mix of both. Then configure the alerts you want to include. And finally, add a name for your test. Below, you'll find more options for configuration, starting with network and security settings. Here you can enable Perform Network Measurements to collect additional data during the test. Define which data to capture, like bandwidth, maximum transmission unit, or BGP routing information. Choose the protocol for the test, either TCP or ICMP, and configure the path trace mode and probing mode. Other options include setting the transmission rate, the number of path traces, and proxy settings. For example, you can set the proxy settings to use the enterprise agent's proxy configuration, as well as perform network measurements to the proxy. In the TLS section, specify the SSL version, verify SSL certificates, add a client certificate if needed, and allow legacy renegotiation with servers that don't support the latest standard if necessary. In the HTTP communication and performance section, configure the timeout, which defines how long the test waits for a server response, and the target response time, which sets the threshold you expect the page to meet. In the HTTP response options, you'll find the desired status code field. By default, the test defines 200 and 300 level status codes as success. You can also enable content verification or limit the download size. For request options, choose the HTTP version, either preferring HTTP 2 or forcing HTTP 1.1. By default, the test will also follow redirects. Here you can set the user agent, override DNS resolution, and add any custom HTTP headers your application requires. The HTTP authentication section lets you define the authentication scheme if credentials are needed. Under Additional Settings, choose to show HTTP headers and waterfalls for deeper troubleshooting. In the Page Load Performance and Browser Settings section, you can fine-tune how the page load test runs in a simulated browser. First, set the timeout and the target time, which define how long the test will wait and what the expected page response should be. Under Browser Options, choose the Chromium version used to run the test. You also have the option to enable or disable screenshots, which capture the page as it loads. Define the preferred language for the browser and allow or block access to the microphone, camera, or geolocation if the site requests them. For the page loading strategy, choose between normal behavior or alternatives, like waiting for all resources to load. With device emulation, simulate different screen sizes and resolutions, like desktop, tablet, or mobile devices. You can also decide whether to exclude specific domains or objects from being loaded and measured. Finally, in the additional settings, add an optional description for your test. This can be helpful to provide context about what's being monitored or the purpose of the test. Configure an alert suppression window to temporarily disable alerts during planned maintenance or expected downtime, so your monitoring remains accurate without generating unnecessary noise. At this stage, you have two options: run an instant test to make sure everything is working correctly, or click Deploy to save your configuration and schedule the test to run automatically. Once the test is created, you can review the outcome in the Views section. The page load view displays the page load layer, along with the HTTP server, network, and BGP layers. Together, these layers provide a complete picture of your website's overall performance. Page load tests help ensure that your websites and applications are loading correctly and efficiently. By monitoring page load time, HTTP performance, network paths, and BGP data, you gain a complete view of the user experience and can quickly identify bottlenecks to optimize performance. Thanks for watching.